Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video day, and today I'm going to be talking about why the Charlotte Hornets are going to shock the entire NBA next season. I think the Charlotte Hornets are going to take a big jump, and I really like some of the early off-season moves they have made. I'm a big fan of what they've done so far. I was a big fan of what they did in the draft mainly, and then the trade they made yesterday was such a fleech. So we've seen them, very big so far in adding in 3-point shooting, and I think that was such a huge need, and that is something they've worked on early on in the offseason, right? So you see them draft the 40% 3-point shooter at Duke, Colin Knippel. Great scorer, great shooter, great addition for them. I love this draft pick for them. And then what do we see in the second round? They draft a great defender and a great 3-point shooter, good facilitator, and Sion James, who could step up if LaMelo Ball ever goes down. They also draft Ryan Cockbrenner from Creighton, who was a 4-time or 3-time Defensive Player of the Year in his conference. And, and another thing was this: he's a great rebounder, he's a solid scorer, and even he is not a terrible 3-point shooter for a 7-footer, shot almost 35% last year in college. So those 3 draft picks were great. Then what did they do yesterday? They trade away the terrible contract of Jusuf Nurkic, who's absolutely terrible. Well, he's not absolutely terrible, but for making $19 million, he's absolutely terrible. They trade away Jusuf Nurkic for Colin Sexton, a 40% 3-point shooter, averaging 18 points per game last season. Great scorer, great shooter, and that's 39% in his career, and that's who they get for Jusuf Nurkic. And on top of that, they also get a 2031 second-round pick with Sexton to give up Nurkic. So that was an incredible trade by this Charlotte Hornets team. And I look at this team right now, the only thing they're missing right now is a center. And there was someone specifically who was just bought out by their franchise. And I think if the Charlotte, this is my prediction, if the Charlotte Hornets make a run at DeAndre Ayton and potentially try to go after him this offseason in free agency, he'll be available on Wednesday. If they do that, the Charlotte Hornets, in my opinion, will definitely be going to the NBA playoffs next year and will shock the NBA. You look at their roster, if they potentially bring in DeAndre Ayton. You could look at the roster right now without DeAndre Ayton. But if they potentially were to bring in DeAndre Ayton, LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, the starting lineup: LaMelo Ball, Colin Sexton, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, and DeAndre Ayton. Off the bench, you've got Trey Mann, Josh Green, Colin Knippel, Salon, their first-round pick from last year, Cockbrenner, Grant Williams off the bench as well. You can go over some other players they'd have off the bench. Nick Smith Jr., really, really talented team, I believe, and really talented depth for Charlotte if they potentially add in an elite big man. I think there's great depth right now and a solid roster right now, to the point where I think right now I look at this roster, and if they stay healthy with Bridges and Miller and Knippel and Sexton and Ball and the whole group, I think they're a play-in team. I think they are a 10, 9, 8 seed, something like that, in that area, 8 to 10 seed. But I think if they add in a DeAndre Ayton, I think it pushes them to be I'm going to say 5 to 7 seed in that range, more in that range, especially with some of these Eastern Conference teams looking a lot worse. Like some of these top teams in the Eastern Conference, like the Bucks, Celtics, and Pacers, looking a lot worse. So, but I think right now, even without potentially adding in DeAndre Ayton, I look at this team as a play-in team, and that is something this Charlotte Hornets team has not been since LaMelo Ball's rookie year in the 2020-21 season. And so, I am thinking that they are back in the play-in next year with the way they have, they've gone with these additions so far. But if they can make one more big addition with DeAndre Ayton, I think it pushes them over the top. Let me know your thoughts on the Charlotte Hornets and what they've done so far this offseason and what they could potentially keep doing. That's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace out.